We are now continuing a tradition that I started technically last year on the channel, but I've been doing it for a few years now when I was on Twitter, back when it was called Twitter. And that has to do with the surprise features of what we get from a Pro iPhone. So ever since the iPhone 11 Pro, that was the first Pro phone, every year since that phone came out, we were getting a new introduced feature that don't ever really come out in leaks. They don't ever come out in speculation. It's really hard to time it and to navigate and to anticipate what it's going to be. It's not the same as like leaking the hardware components, which happen all the time, or more recently with software components, lawsuits be damned. And we are left with a surprise always. Every year, always, we get at least one surprise besides what the official colors will be, is what the camera features are going to be. So I made this video last year around this time because this is when we get pretty close, and I like to gauge the audience. This is where we have a little bit of a back and forth, and we're all going to speculate and guess what the iPhone 17 Pro features are going to entail. Assuming we call it iPhone 17 Pro, I think iPhone 26 Pro is not off the table. We'll see. But anyway, so let's recap. Take a look here. This is my list that I've made ongoing for the last few years now, and I'm not going to go over every feature. I'm just going to recap. 11 Pro gave us Deep Fusion, and the first time we got night mode and slow-fies. I'm still not over that. I don't think I can ever recover from that. How dare you, Apple? It was with the iPhone 13 Pro where things started to get really interesting. And from 13 forward, I was like, this is where camera features, I think, are like S tier when it comes to Apple. Starting with the cinematic mode, which I see a lot of people use on Instagram. Even, I wouldn't call them amateurs, but just enthusiasts, mobile, wireless, or however we want, the opposite of whatever we're calling this right here when it comes to content creation, short form content. A lot of people I know use cinematic mode, started with the 13 Pro. And then something that I found useful as a passive hobbyist of photography on my phone, I liked using the photographic styles, and that also came with the 13 Pro. All right, we're just gonna move past these other ones now. With the 14 Pro, 15 Pro, 16 Pro, we got things like lossless zoom, we had log format. Last year, we had a lot of interesting stuff that kind of came out with the 16 Pro. One being, again, one of my favorites from the 13 Pro series was the photographic styles, and we had an upgraded version with that. We could not have anticipated that was coming. We knew there was another button coming involved, only to find out that it's not a button, it's just called camera control. And I'm including it in this list because camera control is half button, half like software manipulation of what you can do. I think there's a lot of untapped potential that's in there. And I hope we see improvements on the camera control in the 17 series, or whatever we're calling the phones this year. Studio quality mics from last year, they didn't hit the mark. Kind of like slow-fies. I hate that word. Studio quality mics from all the 16s, mind you, just didn't hit the mark. Hence, I know from my last video using this mic right here that there is a bit of, you can tell there's something kind of going on. You could really notice it in the phone mic. The idea that you don't need to have a separate microphone plugged in is what these studio quality mics can do. It doesn't work, which is interesting because they nailed it on the MacBook Pros. I use the mic that's built in on my MacBook Pro. I love that mic, and it works very well. Even back when I was doing the Teloso Tech podcast and the EV podcast, sometimes those shows, like from Drew, they were recorded directly on the MacBook. So I was really having high potential about what we can get from the phone. It just didn't work out, unfortunately. But hopefully it's a software issue we can fix. But seeing how buggy iOS 18 had been this past year, I don't know if I have the highest regards to software. But just to prove my point further, I'm going to show you the potential of what the software was supposed to be using the mic on my phone right now. And these are the different features. These are the different settings of what you're hearing out of my options. And all of them compared to going to be just a regular onboard mic from my phone directly, or using this mic right here, it didn't really work out. Okay, so let's talk about the 17 Pro and what we might see, what I'm anticipating. I get it wrong every year, so I don't have a good track record here, but we could talk about it. Here's what I think we will see. Here's what I'm hoping we will see. Um, there's a bunch of wish list items. I've noticed over the last couple of years we had improvements done to the existing camera features that were there. So upgraded fusion camera, upgraded photographic styles, upgraded mic quality. So staying on that path right there, I'm hoping with the 17 Pro, we get a updated or corrected, or however we want to word that, with the camera control. Again, I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential there. I hope we see that expanded upon in there. I know we're leaning heavy into spatial photography and videography because of the Vision Pro, but outside of just doing things that are more immersive, with iOS 26, your wallpapers become more dynamic. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something happen that's even more three-dimensional or has that parallax effect happening, where with the new layout of the camera system, we can see something more taking advantage of depth. I don't really know how to word that, but I hope you see what I'm getting at there. Also, this is going to be the year that we finally get the trifecta completed in every sensor, from ultra-wide, telephoto, if we still call it telephoto, and the main fusion camera. They're all going to be 48 megapixels. So there's really something that's untapped there using all these pixels that's better than just lossless zooming. I don't know what that could be, not sure how it's going to be utilized, but knowing Apple, they're going to do something that incorporates all three of the 48 megapixel cameras on that camera system. And rumors have it, now we are going to get a 24 megapixel front-facing camera. So I wonder what they're going to utilize with that. I doubt lossless zoom is going to be the emphasis when it comes to that, making 12 megapixel photos or zooming for video. I don't know, but there's something there. So when it comes to hardware, the three things that I would like to see is something that utilizes all three of the 48 megapixels with the ultra-wide telephoto main camera, something to fix or improve upon with camera control, and something with the front-facing camera. That's the hardware element. That's where I can see the most tangible potential, but there's always something software related that we just don't see yet, and I have no idea. That's a wild card. So if we see any of the four things, something software, and those three other things I said, if we see any of those, I would consider this year's upgrade a success from last year's. And so far, they haven't really let that down. I don't even know what that looks like. But what are your thoughts? You let me know, and we will see how right or wrong we are in less than a couple weeks now. So we'll stay tuned, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.